Okay, so first let me run this piece of code. Let it get execute. It takes little time to execute. It has to launch like this. Then we will continue with the remaining piece of code. Okay, so we'll continue with the validation. Okay, so script has been executed, right? Next, what I have to do is, once the plant is created, I need to verify whether the plant has been created or not. Then how do you verify whether the plant is, how can you make sure that the plant has been created or not? Then this particular element is displayed. If that element is displayed, then the plant is created. If that doesn't exist, then what it means? Then the plant is not created. Then how can you verify that whether this element exists or not? If you look at this, it's a web element. Now HTML tag is H2. Then inner text, whatever you use here, inner text will be keep changing from plant to plant, right? It's not the same every time. But so if you look at this inner text, same as the plant name whatever we entered. How the plant name is being generated here? If you look at this, where here, the same plant name has been taken. Then how we can validate that is, if opus.webElement of HTML tag as H2 inner text equal to plant name, then index 1 or 0 dot exist, then it is taking little time to create, right? Then what I'm doing is here I'll say 40 seconds, then say reporter.report event make pass create a plant has been created and plant name is captured as str plant name. Else you can say reporter.report event make fail create a plant was not created. Okay, please review the screenshot for more details. Then what I have to do, I need to provide the screenshot here. Then what I'm doing is here results, right? Then I'll create one more folder called screenshots. Then the screenshot has to be taken and should be placed here whenever it gets failed. Then what I will do is, in this case, I will define saying, do we have the global variable file? Yes, global variable. Then what I will do is dim str screenshot path. I'm just declaring a global variable because whenever I want to take the screenshot and then this I have to use this path, then I'm defining the variable value as wherever the screenshot path is there. But remember again, the path will be changing here. It's not the same path that we will be using every time, because from other system path will be different. That has to be managed. That's going to be the that's going to be the it's going to be the update in coming scripts, in coming sessions. So one by one we will take. Then how do you take the screenshot here? Okay, so str image path equals to str screenshot path slash. We'll append the slash also at the end. Then I don't need to append the slash here. Then give, what is that? Create plan dot png. Create data png. Then what you do is opace dot capture bitmap of str image path and true. Okay, so or pass or fail, take the screenshot. Here also provide the screenshot. Then in case if the plant gets plant is not created, then I don't need to continue with the execution. So stop the execution. Fine. This is for creating the plant. The next is here what we'll do, function create plant. So I'm taking the data into an array, right? What I'm doing here, say create plant. Then whatever the plant that we are saving here, so let's say where is that plant? Str plant name, right? Str plant name. So what you need to do is, we are storing this in a variable, right? Environment plant name. Solution Explorer, app level functions and module specific functions this time. Create new functional library and I'm just storing it in this. Then I need to associate that function library, right? Settings, resources, fine. So next what I need to do is I need to create the item. Okay, I need to create the item. Then clicking on items, then probably I need to I need to use that object for multiple times, not only just in creating item and editing item and all. There are a few other things also will come. Then what I'm doing is, I need to add that object to the repository. So then what I'm doing is, I'm just opening object repository manager here, and then okay, so items. Opace dot link of items dot click. Okay, then so next what I need to do is, once I click on items, then I need to verify whether it's navigated to items page or not. Then not that entire one. Only this class is page type actually. So HTML tag is h1 and inner text. Now let's do one thing here. To verify for the plans also, we are doing the same thing, right? We are doing the same thing, and this is going to be common, right, throughout. Probably what you can do is, we can make this as one function so that you can reduce the lines of code. But for now, let it be. We'll slowly do the improvements instead of one by one. Inner text is items. Okay, why this is? Because in Internet Explorer it was giving with colon. Click on items link in the menu, navigate it to items page. So items, not navigated to items page. Then what you can do is str image path equals to str screenshot path items link dot png. Then opus dot capture bitmap of str image path comma true. What is mean? Just in case if there is any file already, overwrite it. Fine. Next, once you verify the items page, then opus dot web button of button new dot click. So we are clicking on new button. Fine. I need to enter the item name and I need to enter MRP and all. MRP, okay, so item name must be unique, okay, here, and description, active, all these are optional. Fine. What I'm doing is come back to the data table, sorry, data sheet where we have stored test data and test data, and we have stored here. I'll give description, I give active status, then I will give MRP, then I will give category, then I will give available colors. Okay, so I'll give available colors. That's it. Okay, then what I will do is here description, you can give any description here, no problem. Active, say yes. MRP you will give as 30 or 40 something. Category, you have to give any of the category. I will give the category as mobiles. Then I will give the available colors as white and gray. Okay, white and gray. Okay, so next what I need to do to make this as items. Okay, so to make more visible, I'm just making this as a table. This is only to make it as more visible, that's it. Okay, then so what you need to do is first you need to enter the item name. As I told, item name must be unique. Okay, always you can't provide the same item name every time. Then what I do is, whenever I want to generate the item name, before I click on new, I have to verify whether it's navigated to new items page or not. Then how can you do that? Then again say tools object spy. Okay, it's a page description. So page description is a class, and h2 and inner text is new items, right? New items inner text is. Then if opus dot web element of first class equals to page description, and HTML tag equals to h2, and inner text is new items. New items it is. Then so I'm using more notice of 0 dot exist of maybe 40. Whenever I'm doing navigation, I'm using like this. Then what you need to do is report event make pass. Click on new button in the, see here actually we need to use verify and click. We have defined the customized methods, right? So instead of directly click, button in items page. Okay, so new button in the items page. Then navigate it to new items page. Else you say report event make fail. Then click on new button in the items page, not navigated to items page. Verify the or review the screenshot for more details. Just provide the screenshot here. Then str image path equals to str screenshot path, then new item dot png, opus dot capture bitmap, str image path comma true. Provide the same image path here, right? Exit run. Okay, exit run. In case if it is not navigated to new items page, then do that. Then next what you have to do, you need to enter the item name and all. Then how the item name should be generated. Then str item name equals to, I'll give like this item. Okay, then you can say day dot date, month date, minute dot time, then hour dot time. That's it. Okay, then you can say opus dot web edit of. So there is one more way of retrieving the value. I will come to this. Based on the label that if you give item name, it automatically, instead of doing this by and all, I'll tell you another way of identifying the object or retrieving the object. Not now, just give me some time. So here, so if you give, it's little difficult for me to retrieve the properties and all. But what my script does is, when I give as description, it will automatically take this field. Or when I give as active, it will automatically take this checkbox. When I give category, it should automatically take. So like this, we have to give. Slowly, I'll come to that part. Okay, so you can say HTML ID equal to this dot set value. Okay, so set value str item name, comma, step name is enter item name. Then take this item name into a variable in environment dot value of item underscore name equals to str item name. So that means during runtime only I am creating one environment variable and I am storing the value there. Okay, fine. So next what I have to do, I need to enter the description, active, all those, right? Then all these values are stored in Excel. I need to get the data from Excel first. Then we have already created a function, right? Let's say here order functions. So this Excel path is same almost in all the functions. So what I'm doing is, instead of directly passing here, then I'm defining a global variable, say dim data file path. So I don't need to give the I don't need to give the path every time. So what I will do is, I'll just give this. Since it's a global variable, then that will be accessed everywhere. Then I'm just copy the same function here. To retrieve the data from Excel, we have already written a function. What is that? Get data into an array from a sheet. Then two inputs for what is the file path? First thing, str data file path, right? What is the data? It has to be str data file path. Let's follow the standards as well. Data file path. Come on, what is the sheet name that we have given? Items, right? Then what you do is error items data. Then so first I'm getting the data into an array. Next, once I enter the item name, then what you do is get all the data here. Str description equals to get data from array. We have written that function, right? Error items data, comma, column name what we have given as description, right? Comma, intro number is 1. That means first set of data we need. Then str bln active equals to get data from array. Then error items data, comma, I guess we have given as active, comma, 1. Then bln next is int mrp equals to get data from array of error items data, comma, we have given as mrp, comma, 1. Then we have given available items, available colors, available colors equals to get data from array, then error items data, comma, what is the, I think we have used underscore in between, comma, 1. Then one more we have restored, category, right? We have used category also. Then get data from, you got it, right? What we are doing, first we are getting from sheet to array, from array we are getting the data, because for every individual value if you go to the sheet again get the data, it takes some time. So instead of that, once only we take. So getting the data from array takes less time comparatively with getting the data from Excel. Str column name is we have given as category comma 1. Okay, now these are the fields that I have, right? Or these are the columns that I have given. Okay, fine. Next, what I will do is I'll tell you a different way of retrieving the object, but this is not applicable for all the applications that we will be having. Probably whenever you work on Salesforce or PeopleSoft applications or SAP applications, some packages like this, all these are the packaged softwares. Okay, I'll just give you a small thing. I have given the description right here. Probably this is, we can, for any of the person, we keep Salesforce project, 1 or 2 people will be keeping Salesforce project. Then for those people, this point can be highlighted. Okay, so if you have faced any challenge, how did you overcome and all, then people can tell this. Okay, so here, when I take description, what is the ID? This ID. So generally ID gives the unique identification of the object, but certain situations in the Salesforce, generally what happens is, this ID also gets changed sometimes. I mean, even though it is unique, but changes. Generally this ID or the name or those properties are not in the developer's control many of the times. As soon as I define the object in the Salesforce page, then the properties will be automatically set. Then what happens is, if the developer defines one more object on top of it, then the IDs will be automatically adjusted. So that means that keeps changing. So in such case, it will be little difficult to use regular expression also, because if you look at that, all the object properties are, all the IDs are looking at similar pattern only. So that's the reason, regular expression also is little difficult. Now in this case, what we do is, instead of directly getting the object, let's see what I'll do here. What is this? Web element. What is the HTML tag? Label. And inner text is nothing but whatever is displayed there. And active. And category label. So all are having the same label, but inner text is different based on the text which is displayed. The next what we will do is, okay, so take this object, go to native, let me know if you, as soon as you find for property, FOR, HTML4. So what is that? HTML4. We retrieved for which one? MRP, right? Okay. So HTML property, sorry, HTML4 property is containing some value. If you look at the ID, so what's happening? HTML4 value, HTML4 property value of that label is same as the ID of the object which is associated to that label. Got what I am doing now? So what I will do is, when I just provide the label name, when I provide the MRP, it automatically should go to the MRP label. From that, retrieve the HTML4 property, retrieve the HTML4 property value, and then whatever the value it is retrieving for that particular related element, web editor, list or anything, set okay so and so object of HTML ID equals to whatever the value that I retrieved there. Got what I am saying here? Another way of identifying the object. Then, but not in all the applications we can relate like this. Few applications. Sorry? Only for few. That's what I do. Only for this kind of packaged applications it will be. but not in all the web applications that we have. Okay. Then, so what we will do is here, whenever you want to retrieve, so opus dot web element of, let's see what I will do. HTML tag equals to what is the
label.
HTML tag label, right? Label. Then I will do inner text as I'll say first, okay, for sample I will use MRP. This will be given through the argument later. MRP dot, now HTML4, which property it is, where I found that, is it in native or identification?
Native.
It's in native. So to retrieve the value from a native property, you will not be able to use getRO property. You cannot use getRO property. Okay. So now if, let's see if can I use getRO property or not. What was the property name? HTML4. I'll run only this step. Run from step. Just wait for a while. I think there could be a little problem in identification. So it says cannot identify the web element because, okay, so that is expected. MRP is a mandatory field, right? How the inner text is displayed? Star, right? So the value contains star in it. Now, if I run it, what happens? Will it identify? Let it get. This is something that which you should know. Takes little time to execute. Fixed it. Now again it is running. So it is taking this much time, means again there is a problem. So even though I have given star the value contains star MRP only, I have given the exact value there, but still it is giving me the problem. Okay, you guess what could be the reason? One of the reasons. No, it's not that. Even object identification itself cannot identify the object. So before going to getRO property, object itself not being identified. The reason because, as I told, when you are writing the descriptive programming for the property values, regular expression by default enabled, right? Value contains star MRP. The star is a character there. But when I give the same in the value, then the star is not considered as a value here. Star is considered as a pattern. So that's the reason the meaning could be little different. So that's the reason what you do, if you want to match with the exact star character, /star. So that will, since the property value itself contains a star, I want to write a pattern which matches with only star character. Then /star. Let's see, this time it identifies or not. It is taking too much of time to initiate the execution itself. it's retrieving empty. This time it is identifying. But in case, since that HTML4 is not able to retrieve, it won't throw the error. It will return the empty value. In case if any of the property is not available, right? Getarrow property returns the empty. But it is identifying the object now. If you want to make sure whether it's identifying or not, you can say dot highlight, so that it will give you. Now, HTML4 is available, right? The property is available. But why Getarrow property is returning empty? Because that HTML4 is not in identification properties. HTML4 is a native property, and Getarrow property method is not applicable or cannot work for the native properties. So how do you get the values from native properties now? Instead of using Getarrow property here to get the values from native properties, you say dot object dot HTML4. You are going with DOM. That's a DOM method actually. So by using DOM, I am getting the attribute value of HTML4. Then let's see this time whether it will work or not. Takes little time. You see, now it is retrieving. Now what I will do? str HTML4 equals to, then opace dot web edit of HTML ID equals to HTML4 dot set, just let's see, run from step. Wait for a while. Can you see? Value is set there. And now what I will do is, I will give description here. Okay? Let's see if I give the description here. I mean, I'm just changing the label in the text. So that means it will go to the description label, and then it has to set for description field whatever the value that I have here. Let's see what happens. So remember, I'm using run from step. You know why? Only the last two lines have to be executed, so that's the reason I'm doing a run from step. I think I should have included them also here. Let's see what happens. It's running. If running this much time, that means that there is a problem in the identification. Let's see whether it's problem or, I mean, it's identifying or not, or what is the exact problem. What's the problem there? Not able to identify. You know the reason? Because if you look at that, no star is there, right? But what our how we have given the value, star and description. So this time star is not there. So for some values, for some elements or labels, star is there. Some labels it is not there. Then what I have to do? I made that as star as optional. How do you make? Just by adding question mark. Now that should work. Let's see whether it will work or not this time. So it has to set the value in description field. Okay, so it is taking little time to initiate the execution. Yeah, you can see it entered the value in description field. So like this, if I change the label text, then automatically that will go under. So I don't need to worry about what properties this field is using, what properties this field is using. So I will just, as soon as I provide the label, then it has to get that object. Then what I'm going to do is, to get that HTML ID from the label, I will create one function. Okay, what that function should do is, input for that function would be text, label text. Output of the function should be HTML for. Then what I will do is, here let me create a function saying function get ID from label, then str label text is the input that I am providing. You know what I am doing there? I am just appending whatever the label text I provide, I am just appending that. Before I get that, let us do one thing. First, let me verify if that label exists. Web element will not have disabled or enabled property. Get it. Else, what it has to do, say reporter.report event make fail. In case if the label doesn't exist, whatever the label you have given, then that should be a problem. That field might not be there in the application. That you can report it as a defect also. Then make fail, get the object for the label str label text, then no field exists with given label text. Then getting what I am saying here? So I have created the function. What this function should do, whatever the HTML for that we are retrieving, function should return the HTML ID. So whatever the returned value from the function, then I will use that as an identification. Got it? Okay. Now, how I will use this is, whenever I want to set, instead of directly passing as an HTML4, HTML ID equals to you know what I have done here? So, yeah. So that I am just calling that function. Returned value will be directly assigned to the property. So that makes more effective identification. I mean, I don't need to worry about the object identification in coming lines of code. And let's see whether it will work or not. This time when I run the script, I cannot run only this step. You know why I cannot run only this step? Because this function is placed here. So if I run only from this step, then it will not consider this function. So run from here before that function. Let's see whether it will work or not. So like this, we have different techniques. I mean, depends on the type of the application. I mean, some of the techniques will vary. Now let's say when you are working on a Windows based application, right, that label is there, right? So that will be called as an attached text. Okay, so attached for if you want any edit field, then whatever the label is set here, this label, if you want to identify this field, right, you can say so and so edit field of attached text equals to description. If you want to identify MRP, attached text equal to MRP. If you want to identify list, attached text equals to category. So like for Windows based application, it will be attached text. Then generally web based applications, then one of the Salesforce or PeopleSoft applications, it will be like this. But in some other, I will take other applications also, I mean coming forward. So you will understand much better. So this is one way. When you are automating Salesforce application or PeopleSoft applications, then this is one of the criteria. Then we don't keep the Salesforce project for all the people in the resume. Only 1 or 2 guys will give. For that, this is very important. In interviews, they will ask you like, what are the challenges that you have faced in your project. Then especially you say that generally, whenever there is any customization in the page, then whenever they add any object in the page, then it is impacting on all other properties also. I mean, on all other objects. We used HTML ID property, and then HTML ID was changed whenever there is a new object introduced. Then other objects also were impacting. So scripts were keep failing every time. There was lot of every time lot of maintenance work. It was taking a lot of efforts to update the scripts and all. Then how did you overcome that? Then you say that later we realized that then the HTML attribute, the inner native property it is, then is available for the label which is associated to that edit. The HTML for property value is same as the ID for the field which I need to work with. So before, instead of directly passing the HTML ID to identify the object, then first we locate the label. From the label, then we will get the HTML for, then whatever we are retrieving there, that is passed as an HTML ID for the other object. So you can just say that this is one of the this was the real challenge. In fact, even when we automated this Salesforce application, right? It happened to us also many times. Earlier, they have given the application, they said that it's stabilized. Then we started automating. Since the ID property were there, ID and name also same here. Then those were there. Then we were taking those objects and then those properties, and then we continued with the scripting and all. But later, sometime what happened was, they have come up with say that okay, no, there is a certain procedure change, there is certain process changed. Because of this process, then there are certain new objects need to be introduced. Okay, and there are certain objects are made as optional. Okay, so they have made like that. Then once they introduce new objects, right, then we try to run the script. Just we updated only with new objects, then we try to run the script. Then all the scripts were failing because not only just the introduction what they have made, new objects introduction, then that introduction has impacted on all the existing objects. Then what we did, we didn't even see that HTML for, we didn't even know that HTML for gives the ID for the object. Then we updated the properties. We thought okay, it's impacted. Then we updated the properties. Then after 1 month or 1.5 months, there was some change. When you expect ERP or some kind of applications, right, then the changes are constant here. The process will be keep changing. Then what they did is they said okay, they have introduced some fields. Those fields they made it as optional only. But even though they have introduced the objects, right, the remaining properties were impacted. Then what they say, when they give the change and all, so your scripts and all should remain same, because the fields whatever we introduce are optional fields. You don't need to perform anything. So since you don't need to perform anything on those objects, then you don't need to update anything in the script. But they didn't know that the properties are updated here. How business team thinks, okay, when the optional field is there, when I introduce an optional field, there should be no impact on your script because the flow remains same only. Then what is the maintenance work that you do? Getting what I'm saying here? So this is one of the challenge. For them, okay, it is an optional field, so there is no impact. But when it comes to the automation, even though they have introduced one field, two fields like that, the remaining objects were impacted, badly impacted with the properties because of properties and all changed there. So in such cases, how do you overcome? Then you have to look at alternative things. Then I have to say, like even though the object properties, so even though you introduce one object or even though the property has been changed, the property value will be retrieved dynamically. So even you introduce a new object now, then that won't get impacted. But in case if you have changed the label name itself, that will be a defect, because generally when a functional guy or a business team, how they look at the object based on the label only. So when I say description field is available or not, then by using script, I can look at the properties of this object. Based on the properties, we will verify object exists or not. But how a business team or how a functional guy looks at based on this label. If you ask them whether the description field is there or not, then they look at this label. If this label is misspelled, then that will be a defect, cosmetic defect. But if the label itself not given, then that will be a defect. So obviously my script will fail there, saying that description field is not available. So this is another way of getting the object. So far we have seen different, like we have used mandatory properties, or we got the collection of objects and then we looped and get the object, and then we have used assistive, mandatory and assistive, we have used smart identification, or we have used ordinal identifier indexer, and we also learned visual relational identifier, right? And then we have seen a little bit of XPath. Did I show the XPath? I think one time, but not too much. I mean, I didn't, I didn't explain it for multiple times. I just showed once, I guess, but I didn't explain it much, right? So we also used XPath. So there is a way to identify the objects by XPath as well. This is another way. Okay, but why I am saying this? Whenever you are explaining in interviews and all, right? If don't restrict to only one way. Always the traditional approaches, we use mandatory, assistive, we use smart, and we use ordinal identifier, all this. But don't restrict. When somebody asks you, say in case if the object properties are keep changing, or in case if the object is not being identified, what will you do? Then your answer would be like this. Okay, directly say that. So there is not just one way that we have to identify the object. There are various ways that to retrieve or to identify the object. So this is the traditional way, like by saying mandatory, assistant. That's a traditional way. Apart from this, we also can identify the object by using XPath, or we can also identify the object by the label which is associated for it by using this way. Like one of the, when they are associating a label for one of the object, then to make this association, there will be a common thing that they will make. Generally in the SQL, when I want to make a relation between two columns, they use primary key like that, right? So there is one common thing that they will make the relation. We need to identify that common. What is that common in between these two? So get the value from that common attribute, pass the value to another element where what you need to identify. So like this, you can relate the objects, and then you can get you can identify the objects and all. So what I mean to say here, don't restrict with only one way of identification. There are a lot of ways, different ways that we do have. This is where UFT makes the advantage. When it comes to the object identification mechanism and all, UFT scores more than any other tool in the market. Okay. So now, whenever I want to set the value into description, let's see how my script goes now. Description dot set value, right? Set value into edit field it is. Then str description. Let me copy this. This is not only for particular module. I mean all the screens in Salesforce, this is common. So that's the reason what I will do is I will make this as common functions. Then I want to set MRP. Then it will be int MRP, right? Int MRP. I'm setting MRP. Then what I need to do? I need to select the checkbox, right? Then to select or unselect the checkbox, we have a function created, unselect checkbox or select checkbox. We already defined for a web checkbox, we use it select or unselect methods. We have to use select or to select a checkbox. We defined one method called select. To define to unselect a checkbox, we defined another method called unselect. Okay. So what you need to do is when you need to select, if BLN active equals to yes, if BLN value is given as yes, then opace dot web checkbox of HTML ID equal to what is that? Active, right? Active. So then it will get that HTML ID for that. That HTML ID will be passed to this dot select. Then step name is okay. Set value. There are two attributes, right? Two arguments. One is what is the value. Second one is what is the step. Step name also one of the attribute. Then MRP. Enter MRP here also. I mean here set value, actually if you see that there are two inputs that we need to pass. One is what is the value you need to set, second one is the name of the step which you are executing. Then select the checkbox for active, else unselect. I've given us unselect there. Then so similarly I want to select the category. Then to select the category I have defined a method for web list, verify and select. Then opace dot web list of HTML ID equal to copy this category dot verify and select str category comma select category. Then next what I have to do, I need to select colors. Okay, now see how I have given the colors here. Sometimes I may give only one color or sometimes I may need to give multiple colors. Then it should be, it is multi-selection. If you see here, multi-select here. Then the question is, did I tell how to do multiple selections from a web list? How do we do that? I mean, if it is not from all the web list and there are certain list fields available, then where you can do the multi-selection. Let's say for example you are uploading the resume in Naukri or any other website. Then you enter the, you have to select the job location, preferred location. Then you can select multiple values there, right? Domain, you can select multiple. So like this there are a lot of fields are there. So you have to make the multiple selection. How do you do that is, for a web list, I'll just write a sample web list here. Dot, there is a method available called extend select. Okay, so there is a method called extend select. So this method is used to extend the selection in a list. Extend the selection in a list. Okay, multi-items adds the selected items to multi-selection. Okay, so whenever you want to make multi-selection from a list, you have to utilize this method. Okay, we'll do one thing, we'll stop here today. Next class. So tomorrow we will continue with this. So like this, we are some more things that getting. So some of the methods we did not discuss while when we are discussing about topics on that. So while implementing like this, we have some more things coming up, some new techniques and coming up when we do. So tomorrow I will tell you one more way of identifying the object and all. And then, okay, dot set secure. We can do that. What you can do is we either define one more method like set value I told, right? Set encrypted value, like that you define one method. So a method loop set secure yourself. You can, or by using script, if you want to encrypt, crypt.encrypt one method is there. Okay, that ask me tomorrow. That is there in the tomorrow's session. We have in tomorrow's session. Okay. Fine. So tomorrow some other things that we will discuss, new things on every day.